Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I'm going to walk you guys through how to play Fire Mage in BfA as it currently stands. And I'm really excited to hop into this particular video because guys, this is my first Fire Mage guide I've ever put out on the internet. Have not been playing much Fire in the past, but right now I've been playing a ton of Fire in pretty much all brackets to obtain these ratings, and I've been having a fun time with it. I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but guys, it's been pretty fun. So let me walk you guys through exactly, what I've been doing. Alright guys, so in these videos, I usually go over 4 different things. Talents and honor talents, goals and objectives, rotation, and I'll end with some macros if there is any specific macros for this class. So let's start with talents and honor talents. The good stuff here. So these are the talents and honor talents I've generally been picking, and I have experimented with a lot of things, and I'll give you guys some other builds that you can maybe try out. But generally, I've been going with Searing Touch in this 15 talent row. Why? Because when you're bursting someone very low, alright, with Meteor, and I'll get into my rotation and how I burst and how I do damage and the playstyle, but when you're bursting someone very low, sometimes they live at 10% life or 15% life. Guess what? You can Scorch, Fire Blast, Pyroblast, Scorch, Fire Blast, Pyroblast, and all of a sudden you have a guaranteed way to get the Pyro procs. You have a guaranteed way to get a little bit more damage out, and it's a nice kind of Fire Mage execute, and it kind of adds some win conditions to the Fire Mage kit, whereas Fire Starter, you're not really casting, Fireball when they're too much during your goes anyway, and to get a crit when they're 90% life, it'll help a little bit. It's just an okay talent, and not super great. And then Pyromaniac, it's just RNG, right? 8% chance to get that hot streak. Sometimes it'll help you, sometimes it won't. Whereas Searing Touch is going to add that execute win condition, which just feels very nice. Now, I was playing with Pyromaniac, and I won't judge you guys if you pick this talent. I don't think it's terrible, but I think at the end, Searing Touch is just a little bit more consistent. Shimmer, can't really argue this one, right? Shimmer is incredible for landing the polymorphs, landing those CC chains, getting your burst windows off, allowing you to be mobile around the map. Gotta play Shimmer, guys. And Canner's Flow, same reasoning here. Rune of Power, you have to stand still, not too hot, right? Not too hot. Fire Mage. Alright, Mirror Image, guys, it's going to break CC. You can't really control it. It adds a little bit of burst to your windows, but I would not recommend it. Maybe in a 1v1 situation or World PvP, but never really in Arena. And now this is the big one that everyone talks about. Flame On versus Phoenix Flames. Now here's what it is, guys. Phoenix Flames, I've been enjoying it in 2v2. Alright, I've been enjoying it in maybe some World PvP scenarios. But in 3v3, in setup comps, I'm playing FMP, I'm playing RMP. Flame On is so good right now, right? Because I'm actually going to talk about this as well in kind of like when I talk about my gearing, is Blaster Master synergizes so well with Flame On, right? It's just so powerful. Yeah, and it allows you to really just have that instant cast burst off of global cooldown while not breaking CC. So the problem with Phoenix Flames, well, there's 2 main problems. It's on global cooldown, whereas Fire Blast is off global, and then Phoenix Flames also breaks nearby CC because it has splash damage. So if you get a polymorph and you're ready to burst someone, you can't use Phoenix Flames anyway. And then also with Blaster Master talent, with your Fire Blast giving you more mastery, guys, Flame On, having 3 Fire Blasts, triple that mastery. You have Master Blaster in your chest, your shoulders, and your helm, and then you do 3 Fire Blasts. That's a lot of mastery, a lot of burst. Flame On has a lot of value there. So I haven't played with Flame On in most situations. In 2v2 with a healer, I think Phoenix Flames is a little bit more consistent, unless you're just doing Holy Pally Mage and just going for burst windows. But with a rogue, in 2s, Flame On. Phoenix Flame's just going to give you a little bit more consistency. Now, Ring of Frost, I have been picking in most 3v3 scenarios. I have been playing Frenetic Speed in 2v2 with a healer, just so I can keep up my mobility, keep up with the enemy team. So when I'm playing Priest Mage, I will go Frenetic Speed, but Rogue Mage 2s, Ring of Frost, 3s, Ring of Frost, almost always Ring of Frost. Just healer, Mage 2s, Frenetic Speed. Now, I go Living Bomb, and I get this question a lot in the stream. Why you go Living Bomb if you never use it, Czar? You can go Conflag or Flame Patch. Guys, get this straight. Flame Patch is going to leave behind a patch of flames for people to burn in. Not good. It's going to break CC if you have that Flame Strike down for longer, and you don't really use Flame Strike in Arena anyway. Bad. Alright, Conflagration is going to break CC when you fireball people. It's AoE. Bad, right? Fireball implies conflag to the target, dealing an additional 552 damage. Enemies affected by their conflag or ignite have a 10% chance to flare up and deal damage to nearby enemies. Bad. That's going to break CC on your goes. Not good. Living Bomb, controllable. Guess what? If you don't hit Living Bomb, if you never press the key binding, it'll never break CC. So you go Living Bomb to never use Living Bomb. Alright? Now, when I say never, you can use it if there's no CC out, nothing's happening, and you don't want to cast a Fireball for some reason. Just throw out a Living Bomb for a little bit of extra DPS. That's fine. But in most cases, go Living Bomb and then never use it. Alright? There we go. Now, Meteor is just so good right now. It just got nerfed, but it's still really strong right now for those burst windows, right? You get a Polymorph on the healer, Kidney Shot on the DPS, throw down that Meteor. So much damage coming out with that Meteor Strike. So, yeah, there it is. Meteor is just super, super, super powerful right now. And that's the spec, right? So you can switch it up a little bit to Phoenix Flames or Frenetic Speed. You could try Pyromaniac, but other than that, that's the talents. Now going on to PvP talents here, guys, or honor talents. I always play with Trinket because you can pair it with Temporal Shield, you can pair it with Counterspell, you can pair it with things, and as a mage, Trinket is just the way to go right now. Never really play Relent or Adaptation. Now these talents you can change a little bit, and there are some varying specs here, guys, so you do have some playstyle preference on how you want to do this. Now, I've always been playing these three, almost always. Greater Pyro, nice to just bait kicks. You're casting Sheep Eye, whole enemy team freaks out, they throw kicks into it. Guess what? Now I can Sheep, now I can Ring, get this kicks out of the way for when I actually want to go. Controlled Burn, Ignite deals its damage faster, so your Mastery gives your spells Ignite, which kind of gives it extra damage, and now it deals it faster. Okay, so you actually get more burst, which is insanely good. I love this talent, and no longer spreads to nearby enemies unless Combust is active. So normally this would be like a negative thing, right? It's like, oh, but it no longer spreads. That's a good thing, because then it doesn't break CC. It's better anyway. I love it. Controlled Burn. Whew. Hot ability there. Frost Mages need something like this, Blizzard. I love this. More damage, less AoE. Whew. Let's give that to Ice Nova. Anyway, Temp Shield. Alright. Incredible defensive talent. 6 seconds. Any damage you take within 6 seconds will be healed back instantly. I pretty much never don't take this talent. Alright, this is an auto lock-in. But what people have been trying is playing builds like Fire Starter and Flame Cannon, where you're just casting a lot of fireballs since you're standing still. You get the Flame Cannon buff, increasing your health, your damage done, and your range. Stacks up to 5 times, and just spamming out 3, 4, 5 fireballs, getting a huge damage buff, getting that combustion back, and then bursting. I've tested this myself. I personally don't like it that much. I think it's okay in some comps, but I really prefer the Controlled Burn Greater Pyro playstyle. Now you can do hybrid stuff as well. You can go Priz Cloak against double casters, like Destruction Warlock, Mage, or Moonkin Ellie, stuff like that. You can go Kleptomania against Restoration Druids. You can go Dampen Magic if you fight something weird like Shadow Priest, Affliction Warlock, or Double Affliction Warlock, Double Shadow Priest, stuff like that. In this first row, I haven't been playing much Tinder. I'm going to be honest. A lot of people, what about Tinder? What about Tinder? I haven't really been playing it. It just seems like if I'm going to go the Fireball build, I want to do something like this. If I'm going to be going my other build that has a lot more burst, I'd rather go something like this, right? However, I could see you replacing Greater Pyro and then just not having Greater Pyro, then getting those extra fireballs off and playing a build like this. I don't mind it. I don't personally do that myself, but I don't mind it. And then you could also maybe also play Fire Starter Controlled Burn and have some type of hybrid where I'm going to cast some Fireballs, get some more Combust so I can burst more, but I'm still going to play Controlled Burn so I have that extra burst. So those are all kind of the combos here. Generally play with this. I sometimes will play with this, and then I sometimes play with a defensive talent like Praise Cloak or that Kleptomania for the Restoration Druids. But yeah, I really have been liking G Pyro for nothing more than the scare factor on the enemy team. If I do get it off, hey look, now we get out of a burst window. If I don't get it off, hey look, we got a kick or two out of the way, scared the enemy team, maybe made them play defensive, and they're screaming it in their Discord call. So Greater Pyroblast scares the enemy. Now, quickly before we get into rotation, I actually didn't mention this at the start of the video, but I want to talk about gearing. Now, gearing is something that we haven't talked about in my last guides, because guess what? In Legion, there were stat templates, and we didn't need a gearing part of the guide, but now we do. Stat priorities, what am I going? Haste, Mastery, Verse, Crit is what I'm playing for Fire Mage currently. Now, this might surprise you guys that play PvE, because you're like, wait a minute, Crit's really good, right? Kind of. Two things. One, crit is reduced in PvP. Instead of 200%, it's 150%. Not is good in PvP. They did this so it wasn't so much spike damage. So crit is just not as good in PvP. Now, the second thing about crit is that during your goes, a lot of the time you're using combustion, which gives you 100% crit. So it's like, you have 100% anyway, so it's kind of a wasted stat. And then during your goes, you also are using a lot of guaranteed crit spells, like Fire Blast, right? So if you're guaranteeing crit anyway, crit also doesn't give you any value. So instead, since it's reduced in PvP and you're using guaranteed crit spells, a lot of the times crit isn't super good in your burst windows. What is good in your burst windows? Well, we've already talked about Controlled Burn, making Ignite deals full damage faster. Guess what? Throw some more Mastery in there, right? Your target burns for additional damage. You get a ton of damage out. Boom, burns much quicker. Tons of burst damage with that Mastery Ignite. And I absolutely love this playstyle right now. Now, I have been stacking Haste first, which might surprise you. Like, why Haste? What are you getting Haste for? Couple reasons. Main one being Polymorph. Dragon's Breath and the Polymorph, you're not going to get off without getting interrupted unless you have a good amount of Haste, right? You're not going to be able to get off your Ring of Frost into that stun. The Polymorphs, the CC, which, guys, is really number one priority of Mage, is getting the CC and then burst, CC and then burst. Haste allows you to get the CC, Mastery allows you to burst. 1 and 2, right? The old 1-2 from the Fire Mage. So definitely Haste first, Mastery second, then I go for Verse for a little bit more damage, minimize the crit. Could this change? Yes, but this is what I'm playing right now, and it feels very, very nice. And as far as my gearing, we talked about this a little bit. Azurite traits, guys. Blaster Master, Blaster Master, Blaster Master. Incredible talent for the instant cast Fire Blast Burst. And I'll show you like in a second here the rotation on why it's so powerful. And then for the second traits, I'm going to be honest, I don't really like the second traits that I have. The best one you could get is Overwhelming Power. I don't know if there's a Blaster Master Overwhelming Power piece, but the Overwhelming Power middle trait is very good. I think Elemental Whirl is not a bad choice at all, and I think Unstable Flames is not a bad choice at all. However, what I think is a bad choice that you should not go is Gut Ripper, because it is going to break CC on things like Dragon's Breath or any AoE. I would not go Gut Ripper. I would also not go Heed My Call for that same reason. It's going to break CC. I would not go any AoE ability, like AoE damage abilities in the second tier trait because it's going to break CC. So I would go with things like Blood Siphon, Unstable Flames, Elemental Whirl, and of course Overwhelming Power would be your best choice here. Now for the middle traits, once again, I don't really like the ones I have. I think the best one is Azurite Fortification by a mile, by a landslide, unless it gets nerfed, which it might at some point. And then the second best one is Cauterizing Blink, which I don't have either of those, unfortunately. But you could go things like Resounding Protection, and Passive Visage isn't terrible. Vampiric Speed's pretty bad. Bulwark is pretty bad. Vampiric Speed's pretty bad. Self-Reliance is pretty meh. So a lot of these are pretty but I would go with Azurite Fortification first if you have it, and then Cauterizing Blink if you don't have that one, and then maybe something like Resounding Protection or Passive Visage after that, and all the rest are pretty from there on out. But that's pretty much the gearing, guys. Haste Mastery Verse Crit, and Triple Blaster Master Talents. As far as enchants, I'm going with Quick Navigation there on my weapon. Haste on, of course, on my enchants because that's the stat priority that I just gave you guys. You want to get the Intellect Gem and then gems after there. I'm just going Haste. This is all of my gear. Got that Mythic 10 Titan Forge Balefire Branch, which I've been enjoying for the burst windows as well. So that's pretty solid. Got pretty lucky there. But yeah, that's pretty much my gearing, my stats, and the Azurite traits. Now, to get into the good stuff, the rotation, the Fire Mage rotation. Okay, so when you're not doing damage and you are playing something like Firestarter, you can just cast Fireballs to get another Combust. That's great. When you're not doing damage, there's downtime with Fire Mage, right? You're casting things like Polymorph. You're casting things like Scorch or Fireball to get a heating up proc, right? You're spell stealing. You're playing back. You're casting Flame Strike to keep them from re-stealthing. You're doing things like this. You're rebuffing Intellect. You're putting up Blazing Barrier. You're casting Poly. You're juking to get kicks out of the way. You're casting Greater Pyroblast to bait kicks. Okay, we're getting some CC. Blinds out on the healer. Fears out on the DPS. Kitty on the kill target. What do you do? Alright, triple CC. How do you deal damage? The best possible way to deal damage right now, assuming you don't want to cast, right? You don't want to get interrupted. You don't want someone to trinket kick you. You're not going to be casting a Greater Pyro during a go. You're not going to be casting a Scorch during a go. You're not going to be casting a Fireball during a go. You're not going to be pressing a Living Bomb. Alright? What you're going to be doing is throwing down the Meteor. So the first thing you should be looking at right when the guy's in a kitty shot and you want 100 to OM, alright? Assuming people are spread and Meteor is not going to break your CC. Okay, if they're stacked, you're not going to Meteor because you don't want to break that blind. You don't want to break that Polymorph. You don't want to break that fear. If they're stacked, you're going to skip out on the Meteor. If they're not stacked, Meteor is #1 priority because it takes a few seconds to actually activate, and it has so much burst damage right now. Now, something to note, if there's people nearby, say you wanted to Meteor the Boar but not Corla, right, you would just Meteor like this. Okay? If you wanted to Meteor the Wolf here and not everyone else, you'd Meteor like this. Okay, so you have to aim the meteors in a way that it's only going to hit the target that you want to burst. Why? Because the damage is evenly split between all targets within 8 yards, and if you stack the meteor on a bunch of people like this, it's going to do no damage to anybody, or it's all split, versus doing it like this, it's going to one-shot the wolf. Okay, so make sure to aim that meteor correctly. But if there's only one target, don't have to worry about it. Just throw the meteor right in the middle. Don't miss your meteor. I've done that before. It's embarrassing, trust me. You don't have to go down that road. But anyway, you're going to pop the Meteor. You're going to pop Combustion. You're going to pop Fire Blast, Fire Blast, Pyroblast, Fire Blast, Pyroblast. This is going to be all instant cast. It's pretty much going to 100 to 0 someone. It's going to be a ton of damage. So let's see what it looks like in action here. This is a 3 session from last night with Gex and Peekaboo playing some RMP. I could get some of those games up here if you guys want. But we're going to throw down the Combust. We're going to pop every cooldown exact rotation that I just said. Couple seconds, all instant cast. Look at that damage. So much damage done. Couple seconds. I do it every time, 100 to 0 people. It's crazy good. Now, you can pair that with a Greater Pyro preempting the Meteor if you get it off. And then guess what? They die even quicker when the G-Pyro lands. Right, so if you're casting the G-Pyro, you're like, oh, G-Pyro in the air, G-Pyro in the air, blind the healer, fear the DPS, kitty the guy the G-Pyro's on, then throw the Meteor, it all lands at once, the guy explodes, which I can show you here in a second as well. Or, another thing that I was talking about, if you're casting these Scorches, you eventually are going to get a crit. Come on, Blizzard, give me that crit. I'm making a YouTube video, give me that crit, Blizzard. Okay, we're going to cast Fireballs for this crit, so we get the talent that gives us that crit. Crit. Okay, or you can have a heating up proc already, throw down the Meteor, and then you get a little bit of damage like this, where you kind of already can burst without the Combustion, without the on-use trinket. I should mention, I have Combust on a normal bind and a Combust on a bind that is called Flame that uses my on-use and Combust together so we can burst even harder. Okay, so when I burst, I use on-use and Combustion together. And that's pretty much Fire Mage. That's the rotation, right? That's what you're doing. And in your downtime, you're doing things like Frost Nova, You want to save Dragon's Breath for goes or stopping the enemy team goes. You can use Dragon's Breath defensively, stop a hunter from trapping your healer, a mage from casting polymorph, a druid from casting clone, defensively as an interrupt, or you can use it offensively, Dragon's Breath the healer into a polymorph, Dragon's Breath the healer into a Ring of Frost, help you get that setup if you don't have a blind or whatever to go off of. And then, you know, things like rebuffing Intellect, rebuffing Blazing Barrier, casting Scourge, getting those procs, getting those heating ups, kind of getting ready for that next burst window. Burst window comes every 25 seconds. Throw out that kidney shot, Feral throws out that stun, and you throw the big damage. What I wanted to show you guys is that if you do cast this Greater Pyroblast on the burst window, you can cast Greater Pyro when it's in the air, do that same exact burst rotation I just did, and it's all going to land similarly when that Greater Pyro lands. Now, if you do the Greater Pyro even further away, it's actually nice because the Greater Pyro travels very slowly on the ground. So the Greater Pyro isn't going to connect for a couple seconds, which actually allows you to time your burst better because then it all lands at once. So that's if you're playing Greater Pyro. Now, if you're playing something like Tinder, you can get the Fireball off to preempt that burst as well. Fireball into all of that. However, if you do get Trinket kicked, it's very unfortunate. And then in the Fire Starter Flame Cannon build, you can stand still, cast a couple Fireballs, get the Combust back, and then do the burst with the Flame Cannon buff, which is actually very nice, and you can do that as well. Alright guys, I'm going to link you my macros down below for Mage. I don't have too many fire-specific macros, and I don't want to make this into a macro video where I'm covering absolutely every macro I use, but I will link all of my macros down below if you want to check it out. But I'm using Counterspell 1, 2, 3, of course. Using this Scorch on number 3, which just cancels Slowfall. Alright, cancels Ice Block if I hit it, so you can get out instantly. Cancels Invis, cast Scorch, and dismounts me. Very basic, just general macro here. Makes my gameplay a bit smoother. I do throw Cauterize to my action bar down here, just so it reminds me of when I have it. Trying to think of any. I have a focused Greater Pyroblast, actually, which is pretty nice, so I can, you know, pretend like I'm casting it on someone, and then last second, like, hi-ya, somebody else, and then swap to them with a stun and kill them 100-0. It's really fun. Would recommend. And then, of course, this Flame macro that I was talking about that uses Combust and my on-use Trinket. 13 is this top Trinket slot right here. So I can use that Combustion macro to instantly use all of my offensive abilities. And then from there, guys, I'm just going to let you go ahead and check out my macro page. I'm using a Focus Counterspell, a Focus Polymorph, a Focus Spell Steal, Counterspell 1, 2, 3, Decurse, Party 1, Party 2, Mouse over Decurse, things like that. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but I will have all of that stuff linked down below. And that pretty much concludes the guide now. From this, you guys should know how to spec, what to spec, you know, what to do during your downtimes, what to do during your burst windows, you know, kind of how to burst this Fire Mage. So you guys should pretty much be geared up to hop into those arenas. Guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want some other guides, make sure to give the video a big thumbs up. I've been playing some Frost Mage, a little bit of Arcane Mage, Shadow Priest, Disc Priest, Sub-Rogue. That's about it right now. But if you guys want guides for all of those classes, really be sure to thumbs video up, share with your friends. Let me know down below in the comments. Thumbs video down if you didn't like it. Talk to me in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.